everyone, and welcome back. It's the Fallout Gaming Major All-Stars tournament that will be taking place in Malaysia. A 100K prize pool and crowd-funded ticket that's going to be quickly on the rise, and we're in the NA qualifier here. And today, it's semi-final Dota action. We're going to have Fire Dota taking on Complexity here to lead off our first best of three. Should be a good one. Complexity are going to be coming in, I believe, as the slight underdog, actually maybe even slight overdog. It's about a 50-40-ish, 50-50-ish kind of a match, so it should be a good one here. But I'm not going at it alone. I'm KotLGuy, of course, bringing you the coverage over here on Beyond the Summit, but I got my good buddy once again back, Mr. David Blaze. Blaze, my friend, how are you doing? Sorry, am I still muted, unfortunately? I hope not. Let me check on the Skype thing. Nope, I don't think so. Hello, hey Blaze, how you doing?
Doing real well, man. Looking forward to this matchup here. This is going to be really fun, actually. Seeing a little bit of Ike's Mike Revenge, seeing Fire Dota, or Summer's Rift, as they were kind of tossing the name around, versus Complexity. And, yeah, I mean, both teams have been kind of reforming a little bit and looking better for it.
Yeah, and with that, yeah, sorry, you probably missed my whole intro because I accidentally had you muted there at the start, and I realized it as I gave you a very brief intro. So, yeah, Fire Dota here in the draft at hand. They're going to be opening up with Tide Hunter and Enigma, so a lot of wombo combo factor right then and there. Just, I mean, no regards. Like, Rubik is probably mouth-watering here on the side at this point for Complexity if they wanted to consider that as an option. For Complexity, they got Clockwork and Sniper, so you get the benefit of having Sniper, who works great with distance, and you get one of the best anti-snipers and Clockwork on your team as a good initiator and frontliner. And something that Complexity have been running a lot as of recent. I believe not too long ago we just saw Limp play a pretty dominating sniper himself. And also, I want to worthy to note for Team Fire, they are again going to be going without fucking Mad. They have their stand-in Majka, apparently, who will be filling his position.
No, that's him.
Oh, it is
that
him?
Actually is fucking Mad. So.
Oh, okay. So he's just using an alias then. I couldn't look, unfortunately. He had a private Steam profile, so they don't make it easy. But, okay. So good. They have their full 5-man roster. That's important because this is a very... very serious match here. It's not like there's a double elimination. You lose this best of 3, you're done in Major All-Stars.
Yeah, most definitely. So it's interesting to see Complexity open with the Clock Sniper. We've seen it do some great work since DAC. That's when it really got involved. Vici game even first face picking, and now a lot of people have caught on. But the interesting thing here I see is that the Enigma was picked in response to all that. Like, essentially... actually, the second pick came through for Fire Dota, so they opened Tide Enigma against the Clockwork. The Clockwork does have the ability to hookshot the Enigma during his BKB and counter out the black hole, but if you have a good surrounding of other heroes or units, then that is going to be more difficult. We saw in a game yesterday where there were a lot of summon units on the field, particularly Spiderlings, which made it very difficult for Clockwork to get the hooks that he wanted, and Eidolons can play a very similar role. But they're still going to look to close the distance and look for heroes that can really get on top of Sniper and get him down. Since Clock is trying to create that space and that buffer in the team fights, they're the ones that want to jump on him. Maybe go for a Phantom Assassin, get involved that way. They're going to bring out early supports, though, ones that are very active in the laning phase and making sure Sniper has a really easy time in surviving, and the Lion and the Dazzle are probably the top 2 for that.
It's just so funny. So, I mean, you got to prioritize Lion because he's one of the Platinum tier supports as it is, and they get rid of the Dazzle, but they just don't care that possibly Rubik is still a good option for him, and even Silencer, someone else who could kind of ruin your day in that mid-game period, especially before Tide and Enigma are able to even get those first BKBs. So it could be a mouth-watering option here for Complexity if they want to kind of go down that road. But I do want to take a moment here, Blaze, and talk about just the recent play history for a couple of these teams here. Complexity, of course. A lot of these teams have been going around the ringer. There's easily like 6 qualifiers happening right now between the Major All-Stars here. We got Canada Cup. You got Dota Pit. It's just ridiculous. So a lot of these teams are getting a lot of gameplay happening here. Complexity, they're recently got their matchup. What looks like against eHug in the MLG Pro League for Join Dota. They also took on Ape Zone and beat them in Canada Cup. Thundercats, they went 1-0 against as well in Canada Cup. So they've been on a bit of a hot streak as of recent. They've seemed to have found their groove. Mike's been a part of the recent squad, and that kind of makes for a fun storyline. Mike going against his former Fire teammates in Ush and Fluff. I don't know what kind of tension there could be out there, but that could possibly also make for some pretty good Dota. And for Fire Dota themselves, they've been looking really strong. They only had a struggle really as of recent against the Ninjas in Pajamas over there in Dota Pit, where they did get cleaned out 0-2. But other than that, they look pretty damn good. So There's going to be the Rubik actually snagged up from Fire, so they actually denied that pick potentially from Complexity.
Another really nice thing about the Rubik is in the laning phase, he can actually contribute to a lot of kills against Clockwork. The main defensive thing Clockwork can do in a bad situation is pop his cogs and walk away, but Rubik can actually use telekinesis to pull him out of the cogs as soon as they come out, and then he has to walk all the way around them just as anybody else. So you combine that with like a Troll Warlord, and you're going to have a really good time, which is one that's still in the pool. Complexity could look to pick it up themselves, run it as like a safe lane or a mid, and the Sniper will pick up the other role. That's really nice because the Battle Trance can help those headshot procs just fly out. But I'm not sure if it's great in the sense that you are already lacking teamfight against this team. The Tide, the Enigma, they're going to have those big cooldowns, and a Sniper and Troll certainly lack that. So I think Troll Warlord will be a really good pick for Fire if they're able to nab it, and Complexity, they have to consider their options.
Ooh, Complexity. They're going to pick up one of Z-Freak's favorites in the Skywrath Mage, favoring that insta-cast silence, that early aggressive harassment he conditioned the lane. Potentially could be against this Tidehunter to keep him zoned back. And we've seen Tidehunters even just yesterday who could struggle early on and just try to meet that quota of getting together a Blink Dagger. And then by the time they even get it together, the opposing cores have their BKBs, and his pretty much rendered to almost useless. So look at the quick fire back here. We got Faceless Void being snagged up from Fire, not caring that he's even going against the Skywrath Mage, and he might be forced to go into a BKB kind of route. But the Bounty Hunter grab from Complexity, man, I love this hero. I've been kind of playing him a bit more. I don't know. It looks like it's potentially going to be that position for Bounty with Clockwork already being there for IX Mike. This is a guy who's going to be a real pain in the ass to a jungle Enigma. They better be well and prepared with some sentries and some way to scout out this Bounty Hunter early on.
Most definitely. There is some real kill potential between the Malefice and the Telekinesis if they do catch this bounty off guard, but if he plays it smart, he can really disrupt this Enigma, just play this kind of anti- or counter-jungling strategy where he will make sure that Enigma doesn't get the easy farm, he'll last hit any of the bigger creeps, and the entire time he's going to be leeching at least half the experience. So that could be very formidable, and it also creates this kind of need for speed lineup for Complexity. With the track online, Skywrath having a very great base movement speed, Sniper building a lot of movement speed based items, and Clockwork always being able to jump in at long range. Complexity can travel across the map very rapidly, and they can get involved in these fights and profit from them substantially with the Bounty Hunter. But I would still say they're really reliant on Mike having one of the best games of his life in the Clockwork. We've seen Mike as kind of a hot and cold player, and when he has those off games, you can really tell. But if he really does just take it up a notch, he can initiate very well for his team and make some awesome things happen. In the meantime, Fire, they want to play more reserved. The less kills on the board, the better, no matter the case.
It might just be from my own personal opinion, but I feel like when Mike plays in his off lane, he can be very trendy with who he plays, too. He'll go on stints. It was Star Ladder, he was playing all Batrider all day, and he had great Batrider games, and they actually respect-banded his Batrider just to make sure he tried to move on to what the next best option would be in the hero pool, and he's been back to going to his Clockwork. And you know, I know Cartota wasn't able to join us in game number 1 for some statistics rather, but I know his best win rate of all of his offlaners is on the Clockwork itself. It's absolutely out of control. He can get the job done, and he will surprise people with his initiation game. So how well he's going to work out, though, in the off lane seems to be also a bit of a promise here, considering the Enigma is going to be probably working in the jungle. Mike can really capitalize on an opportunity to take control of an early lane setup, so we'll see if that's going to be the case here. Final bans do go through. We get rid of the Medusa on the side of Fire, and they get rid of the Zeus for Complexity. The last grab, though, is going to be the Ember Spirit. I'm wagering this is going to be Ush's grab.
Yeah, and they can kind of play this glass cannon strat because they have the early mechanism that's going to come out from the Enigma. They have a very good defensive support from Rubik, and as soon as Tide gets the ulti, he can play as a defensive hero that can bring them into the mid to late game very nicely. So the idea here is Fire Dota is just going to play a farm game. They might lose a couple of picks here and there because Clockwork and Bounty, and honestly, all of Complexity's heroes are really good at finding random pickoffs, but even though that's going to give a lot of gold to Complexity because of track, the idea is eventually, about the 30 to 35-minute mark, they're going to get a couple of kills their way, and because of the rubber band effect, they'll be able to profit that much more from it, and they'll be able to carry the game that way. So the idea is to limit kills in the laning phase, and to admittedly lose a few lives here and there in the mid-game because it's inevitable, and then to bring it back a little bit later. But talking about Rubik a little bit here, he's going to be probably the big wild card. Like, you know what to expect from a Void, from an Ember, from a Tide in these situations. But the Rubik could be interesting because Sniper's Shrapnel is now a really good steal. The fact that you get all 3 charges makes it actually really good to take out of the enemy's hands. Taking out Trek could be very frustrating for Mind Nuts. Clockwork's abilities can be very dynamic. It's going to be really interesting to see Fluff and stuff and how he performs.
Yeah, I'm also really curious to see what kind of synergy they've been working with. This is a team that's been having a hodgepodge of different players and rosters working with stand-ins, and you really never can count on how their synergy truly is going to be until you actually see it out there on the Dota playing field. But the last and final pickup here for Complexity is going to be the Slark here. So a lot of pesky, sneaky grabs here for the side of Complexity, banking on a very good space creation early game with the Bounty Hunter, and then allowing the Slark to hopefully snowball once he picks up that big positioning item and goes hand in hand with Mike in his Clockwork. And then at that point, hoping to have a late game really be blossomed, of course, from the one and only Sniper. So with that said, let's go ahead and lead things off. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just our first game of today for the Fallout Gaming Majors Dota 2 All-Stars event. For the NA qualifiers, we have semi-final action here between Complexity taking on Team Fire. And without further ado, I'll lead off your introductions. Radiant team moving right towards the top rune area, probably going towards the jungle. It's Complexity Gaming. My Nuts are leading out the front, and they are in Viz as he's going to look to scout on ahead. Do they have the early sentry planted? Potentially they don't. But he's going to give them vision. Z-Freak's on your... Oh, Skywrath Mage as he puts out the concussive shot. Double shrapnel. Dishing everything for this first blood onto Demon. Will they get it? He anchor smashes and he goes down. It's Complexity who strike first and strike first early. My Nuts, being that bounty hunter and being able to scout it out ahead of time, certainly allows them to kind of decide what the best way to execute it and if they could actually commit to it. And they did, and they succeed. Anyways, rounding out the rest of the roster, we got IX Mike playing his Clockwork, and that will leave, of course, Swindle Melons, who's going to be playing your Slark, and finally, it's going to be Limp playing the Sniper.
So expending all the mana there on the shrapnel, using all 3 charges just to commit to that first blood. I don't think they'll get this bounty rune though. That's going to be too heavily contested by Fire. They even dropped the Sentry Ward just to make sure that Gondar won't snatch it. And with the fact that they have all these slowing things, the concussive, shrapnel, they don't actually do that much damage until they get in melee range. That's where Mike comes in with the cogs. My Nuts is on the cliff though.
My Nuts put up and above, and Fluff is going to go down. So it's going to be a nice way to get him out of the game for a while. I mean, you got 3 minutes before he could even fly the courier, and it's not exactly safe to have the little walking thing to, you know, go over there and hand deliver it for you. So My Nuts is going to be waiting for a bit as this bounty hunter, though they pick up another sweet kill. So it's still to their benefit for now, but we'll have to see how long it will be before they can get him down. In fact, the courier is actually already en route. Z-Freak's going to play the bodyguard, and it should be an easy handover. There it is. He'll be able to TP on out, and everything will be A-okay.
Yeah, could have been disastrous, but it will work out all right, and they get their second kill because of it. So I would say absolutely worth it, and yeah, that means Fire are going to be a little bit uneasy about this early landing phase. I mean, you look at the early sentries out. These are Radiant Sentries covering the eastern hard camp, and then the, of course, Magicka poking Mad. He put down the Sentry Ward to try to open up his medium camp, which is going to be the most convenient for him to farm in most cases, other than Mud Golem spawns. But one thing I want to take note of before we see action on mid, I guess it's just going to be harassment here. They don't have the Janata, so Brack should get out, but you never know with that new shrapnel.
You really don't. Look how slow it is already, and he keeps getting these little pot shots in. If he's not missing from uphill, this is going to be another kill. Wow. The double slow. The double slow, the Orb of Venom already with Bounty Hunter. He's just being such a pest. You really don't know where he's going to be coming from, and that's more than enough to get a little bit of that classic just move and walk shooting style. And man, oh man, 3-0. Off to the races we go. Complexity well in front.
Yeah, they do actually see the Bounty Hunter there under the Sentry Ward, but Mike's the one that they're kind of worried about here. He's actually just going to try to take it out on. They split, and he takes a lot of damage. Even with the Stout Shield here being pulled back, they have the stun with the Malefice. They almost could have killed him, but Magicka doesn't even commit the Malefice here, and that kind of surprises me. I mean, he does have the cogs, so there definitely is a good chance that he'll live, but it would have put another 200 damage into him and send him limping back home.
Yeah, maybe just second-guessing that. I mean, if he commits it and they don't get the kill, then he's losing a lot for himself and being able to go back into the jungle and continue that rotation when you're, especially Dire Enigma. I mean, you have a quota to meet. I mean, typically, best case scenario, you can walk out level 7 at like 5 minutes in, 6 minutes in, but look at this guy. It's just, hey, how's it going? You know, I see you're trying to get something going here, but I'm a bounty hunter after all, and it's not going to be easy, though. They do have the sentry there, and they see him. Fluff is coming over. They would love to bait him into something, but I don't know. Meanwhile, mid lane harassment continues here as Demon actually makes a rotation from bottom lane to get involved, but here comes the Shrapnel again. pulls out the Flame Guard to try to avoid some extra damage. Rocket's not going to catch, and Brax is going to be very, very wounded, but my nuts are on the case, and they could come across Brax here. Oh, he sees him, but too risky. Just too risky.
Yeah, he would have been stunned up by the Rubik, and he probably would have fallen.
Yeah.
But that 2 armor Ember Spirit, it's so tasty if they can actually get that kill. Real quick, I want to talk about the Sentry Wards, because that was actually a pretty impactful part of these first few minutes here. One big thing was they dewarded the one that was sitting like dead on the top rune spawn. That wasn't just to cover the bounty rune initially, it was also the fact that since they can couple it with this observer ward, they can see any bounty hunter approaches from the northwest, so that would cover and help out the mid. But without that sentry ward in place, Brax did get ganked, and 2v1 they were able to just barely bring him down. Another aspect is just the fact that they can control the jungle pretty well. This observer ward here in fucking Mad's jungle is just outside of the sentry ward radius, and that means that he's going to have that camp blocked off and be pretty frustrated in his movements in general. It's actually going to be MyNuts once again. Under vision for a moment, but Demon's Cancelled Auto gives MyNuts a pretty good idea of what he's up against.
I mean, when you're playing against a Bounty Hunter, it's frustration is just the name of the game. Bounty Hunter, Brood are probably the two that I need to pop a couple of Advil before I really get the game going. It's just really a big headache, but he's just going to be all over the place and keeping you guessing, and he's forcing the economy of fire to keep those sentry wards up, to keep the dust probably on hand and at the ready, and Brax has to keep on guessing. He can't commit to the CS like he would. Top lane, they're making it go on to Mike the Machine here. Pull him back, Telekinesis Gush is there. Demon's been all over the place on his Tidehunter, but it pays off here. Fluff's going to get the last hit, and finally Team Fire are going to be able to get themselves on the board. But mid lane, they're making another go onto Brax. He gets the chains off. MyNuts is going to get slashed down, and Limp could be in trouble as well. No mana though on Brax. He can only push him back and hope that the Immolation Burn will be enough, but it's just going to be a one trade. 3-2 now, your new score.
Yeah, just a nice turnaround for Brax. You can't really break through the Flame Guard with your gear damage. Down bottom lane, a Pounce will connect on the Fluff and stuff. He will be falling and Swindle. Just regen some HP with his ultimate. Very confident here. He's going to have the Hand of Midas in no time at all. And that's just going to give, I mean, so much more as far as real good net worth items for complexity to start them off. I want to note in the matchup there in the mid, yeah, the Flame Guard doesn't really stop much damage, but that means they also cannot take it off. It's just going to be about how many headshots come out. With the 2 points expended in it, it can do a nice little 40 physical damage boost, but you don't get many procs, then suddenly you're face-to-face with an Ember who does far more damage than you. And now he has the ultimate, so he's only going to get ganked by the Skywrath, who needs to get level 4 for the silence.
Yeah, so for that, Brax is going to feel a lot more confident and comfortable in this lane, so expect his farm to get built up after being, you know, handed off early as far as CS. I mean, Sniper's 32 and 13 compared to Brax 16 and 2, but this is where Brax will feel a lot more comfortable, and here we go. The Bounty Hunter continuing to stalk fucking Mad here, and I can't help but he just, you know, what a perfect name for this kind of a game is he tries to make work still with the camps here, but that XP constantly going to be leached and split. Now Mike comes over as they scout it out. Battery Assault going to be there. Telekinesis back, trying to get saved from it, but there, pits are inside the cogs. The job gets done. Fucking Mad goes down, but the Chrono catches on 2. Finally, he's able to break through the cogs to get in there. They get the Mike, and they are able to take down the Bounty Hunter. So a bloodbath here in the top. Even Brax looking to get on the action. Leads us now at 5-4. A small trade, but it's Fire who do benefit from it.
Yeah, they needed to get both of them in order for that to be worth it. Because if you just lose the Enigma and then you get one return kill for a Chronosphere cooldown, that's not valuable at all. But because the Ember Spirit rotated as well as the Tide, they were able to make that Chronosphere get 2 and make it worthwhile. And now just going right back to the lane with the Regen Rune, Brax should have a pretty good time just making sure that Sniper doesn't put out too much pressure. MyNuts once again stalking, but without boots, he's not as confident to dive.
It's a little Shuriken.
Oh, he just canceled the regen rune there, actually.
Yeah, the quick regen cancel, and it's going to force Brax to just use the rest of the bottle. So what a sneaky little man here as he continues to just constantly scout it on out. Now they're going to make the go. He's been eating so much damage, he actually has to Remnant back and away. Concussive will connect, of course, but now he has to second-guess healing. He's got to go into the last bits of his bottle, and he'll do the old Remnant down, head home, and bounce on back. But the one thing I am nervous for here, if you're a Fire fan, is Swindlemelons has been having a dream of a lane phase here. He hasn't really got involved in any skirmishes. He's had his Midas. He's level 8+, and you compare that to the other side for Ush, just turning 8, no Midas for him.
MyNuts will go down, though. It was actually a really good bait by fucking Mad. He had him under Sentry Ward vision for about 8 or 9 seconds, but chose not to go on him. Just kept farming as if he didn't see him, so they could get the reinforcements to actually bring him down on a Sentry. Down bottom, Tide with only 1 point in Crack and Shell. Finally gonna meet his comeuppance. He's rotated a lot away from this lane. He is actually only at level 5. KotLGuy is almost to level 6, so there's only a mild difference here, but although Demon's rotations have contributed 3 assists to the team, it overall hasn't helped him too much. He doesn't have Ancients to really fall back on, and he himself had to go for the 2 points in Gush to be more active, and this means just on the lane itself, he's very vulnerable and ends up feeding the Slark, who already is doing extremely well for himself.
I'm going to go ahead, and like we did yesterday, I'm going to put out the early warning. The Year Beast is coming, which means so do potential server hiccups because everyone's got to get their hats. So hopefully we won't run into too much trouble. I hope I didn't jinx us here, Blaze, right now, but I'll keep my fingers crossed that everything will be smooth sailing. It did happen for the second series, a bit smooth, so we'll just hope for more of the same here. My nuts now, though, stalking, scouting out top. Ush does have Chrono at the ready. Fluff constantly nearby, being that bodyguard, watching out. Needs more time, though, before he can get his level 6. A lot of potential in this game to get some good snags, of course. And well, what you're considering, track is probably one big potent option where you can bring back a lot of that big gold. I certainly wouldn't mind it here. But for that, the continuation of farm will happen. And if we switch over to the net worth, you can see both your sniper and your Slark at the top.
Yeah. So, Dakota, I'm wondering, what do you think about this double Gush build? Essentially, it means that he can't farm the Ancients, but he gets to be more active on the map in general.
Well, from what I've seen from Demon in this game alone, he's been very active. So it just seems to be the playstyle he went into it, maybe knowing he's not going to have the best time on the bottom lane against the Slark, and would rather get more involved in some team fight early impact and get a piece of the pie that way than try to work with the stacks otherwise. Maybe fearing that because there's a bounty hunter anyways on the other team, doing the stacks would be irrelevant because they could be scouted out and taken away. So sure. I guess Gush is the next best option in making fights happen, and he's been involved a lot. You know, he's 0, 2, and 3. He hasn't got to kill himself, but he's managed to still find his way to almost level 6.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good assessment. I think it is going to be a little bit more mana intensive for him, but as long as he can get a few more levels here and there, it's going to be pretty beneficial. Bounty will now scout out the stacks, as you were mentioning, and see that there are absolutely none, though he might try to contest and steal this top rune or bottom rune and actually get the kill. No TP on Demon, by the way.
Anchor is going to be there, but it's only going to nerf so much of the damage. Wow, that KS coming through from Mike. Secures that one.
Easy.
Not from far. Nice little two-pointer right there, but he gets it in, and that helps him secure a little bit of that extra farm. And it looks like he's got the row pickup. Power Tread seem to be first on the docket. I'm not quite sure. It's not looking like this would be too necessary of a blade mail kind of a game. Are you thinking maybe Force Staff? Does he get a BKB maybe? Or where do you go with your clockwork in this kind of getup?
That's enough. I think the Force Staff might give opportunities of like maneuvering against the Enigma as far as trying to get that black hole interrupted. Durability in general is going to be good for him. So kind of the treads, magic wand build-up will be really important. There's the possibility of an Orchid, just in case they want even more silence than just Z-Freaks, but it's very unlikely.
We'll see here as they smoke up and scout out the mid lane. Brax here. He's only got the phase boots and the drums. There's going to be the hook shot, Mike. Oh, tries to cut him up behind, you know.
Cog knocked back there.
Exactly.
If they had knocked back with the cogs, they would have gotten the silence off, and that would have been huge.
Yeah. Prime clock technique right there. Yep, top lane. Usher's going to make the jump with the Chrono. He wants my nuts. He got him. And here comes Limp. Could throw himself into a bit of trouble with the help of Fluff. Oh, they lose Ush. Limp's still alive. The auto attack going to be there. Fluff helps finish it off. It's a 2-for-1 trade. But Fluff, okay, able to steal out the Arcane Bolt. But uh-oh, Mike's a-coming, and he wants revenge. Former Fire teammate on your ass, and he gets it done. Z-Freak's going to get the kill, and he's on a killing spree in his Skywrath Mage. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Brax putting on the harassment on the Swindle Melons, forced to go into the Shadow Dance to walk away.
So that's just a good movement to get the deny on the bottom tier 1 tower for Brax. That takes a lot of potential gold away from Swindle. If they didn't stifle this for Slark's momentum some way, they'd be dealing with like a, I don't know, 16, 17 minute Scotty from this guy. But as they do deny the tower, maybe that'll slow it down a little bit. And yeah, they're just going to actually lose smoke to this invisible Slark. So Tide has to be a little bit wary here. Again, doesn't have a TP. This is the 3rd time I've seen Demon come out into the middle of the bottom lane without a TP scroll. And that's how you escape from a Slark.
He got it now. He got it now. He might need a Ravage to live. Oh, it's not going to matter. Mike is there. Like a trapeze artist flying in from the skies. Says, you're not going anywhere, buddy. Takes Jimmy down.
And I think that's what he's been worried about the entire time, is a good rotation from Clock, who is one of the better heroes for canceling TPs. The knockback from the cogs, the hook shot, and the battery assault can all cancel, and it's very frustrating to try to channel anything against that hero.
Bounty Hunter continued his stalking, fucking mad here in the woods on his Enigma. No black hole yet this game, but the black hole factor is there. And it looks like he is building up between, what, the Necrobook? He's doing a Necrobook Enigma from what it looks like here, Blaze. Pretty interesting. I guess it helps, of course, going against the Bounty Hunter in case you want to be able to get the easy detection there. But the benefit of the mana drain, it's pretty good, I guess, against the Clockwork, and can do a little bit of extra pushing potential, so I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, in general, it's going to give them a little bit of really good emphasis on objectives. They can go for towers, they can go for Roshan, and that's going to give them gold to kind of equalize what they're losing from this track deficit they're going to be experiencing. And speaking of, getting the first track kill of the game here on fucking Mad with a nice stalking combo.
And that's track gold in the pocket, too. It's just what Bounty Hunter does, man. Nowhere is safe. Here comes Ush out of the blue, gets all three with a chrono. Beautiful setup. Ravage follow through, though. He's going to try to get the bounce back. They take down Z-Freak. It's a 2-for-1 trade. Advantage for Fire. Friends stick together, and they get revenge for their fallen comrade.
Yeah, very great response. So just getting Ush in position for that for triple. I mean, you can assume a single or double is pretty easy for him, but getting all three heroes there, making sure there's no possible silences, thwart their endeavors, and yeah, Ush just keeps doing what he's doing. You also noticed that he went for a side lane bottle on the Faceless Void. Maybe that's a little bit in response to the Chronosphere mana cost increase that we saw a little bit ago as far as patch changes. And yeah, with the Mask of Madness, a little bit of int-tread swapping, he'll be able to just continuously sustain both his health and mana pool.
And, oh, it looks like fucking Mad's actually going to split off that staff into a proper 4-staff, and maybe the belt's just going to go to the power treads. That makes a little bit more sense, but now having the extra bit of mobility certainly helps. He goes back to his jungle from where he was once picked off, but this time complexity. They already have someone else on the case now. It's Swindle, and uh-oh, he just got back, and now Mad is going to be in trouble. Assassinate's also going to be there. That is an easy kill. 2 rotations to come. They better hope they can get something for it, otherwise they've committed a lot. They're able to move forward. Brax is on it, but the Shadow Dance comes through. He's just going to go ahead and try to hunt him down. Limp desperate to throw out the shrapnel to try to slow them down, and it is enough to get Fire to scurry away. So that cost them 2 rotations, and they lose their Enigma.
Yep, so the Slurk having the Shadow Blade makes it so that the Haste Rune would not allow the Ember Spirit to pursue in that position, and yeah, they're just going to fall back, but having no Ravage, no Chrono, at least for this second, and of course losing their Enigma, it should be their tier 1 falling. We have another really good flank from Ush, who does have enough mana for Chrono, but they don't have time.
Track's also on Fluff. They'll see them coming forward, but they get their tower, and it looks like they're just going to walk away with their winnings right there. Fire just need a little bit more time, it feels. Demon trying to get the early makings of his Blink Dagger here without really being able to farm the Ancient stack, just because of like the Bounty Hunter mind games alone really kind of cost him here. Constantly the mind games are there. He's there with the track. He is going to get scouted out from Brax. The shackles are there. Do they have the detection? He's coming over. The sentry's dropped from Fluff, but it's already too far out. And it looks like my nuts are going to hide side by side with Roche here in the meantime. So just constantly being in the face of Fire here, keeping them guessing and all over the place, while Complexity just have the easy time to kind of farm where they want. You see Z-Freak here spending some solo me time for his support Skywrath Mage. And bottom lane, they're converging onto Brax. The track's already there, and My Nuts moves in, but the Remnant sends him flying. So now they'll have more space to farm here on the bottom as well.
Yeah. I'm actually not too sure about this Blade Mail coming out from Mike. It can be really good against Enigma's Midnight Pulse, but there's otherwise not a lot of damage that you're going to be reflecting on specific targets here. I actually think that, like, most of the... Oh, okay. I actually didn't know they implemented the 3-2-1 pause in private lobby games as well. I thought it was just a matchmaking change, but yeah. DC plus pause, and yeah, as far as what I was talking about there, the Mike picking up the Blade Mail, overall it's a good item on Clockwork. You kind of get a little bit of a cage match. Okay, so that's it. It's not a countdown on pauses in private lobby games, but the DC pause seems to be bugged a little bit, and that does give you 3 seconds delay. Anywho, yeah, you get a bit of a cage match with the Blade Mail, and that's a pretty interesting thing, but Otherwise, I really don't see that he's going to get that much return damage on it until he actually is able to build up his HP pool. Treads, Bracer, Wand kind of thing will give him a lot more to work with, but I don't know. I really like the idea of Blade Mail versus Enigma Midnight Pulse, but that's about it.
Yeah. Other option, I mean, yeah, we were already talking about the Force Staff, which is something he could still obviously go for. And then, of course, your standard BKB, so he can have free will to be in there, have more durability, and not worry about something like your Ravage and whatnot. But still, even a BKB is questionable against Team Fire when you got a Chrono and the Black Hole there. This is...
I would actually really like an Orchid, to be honest. It's a very unorthodox pickup, but it would do so much work against a couple of these heroes here. The Ember, the Tide, and the Face of Void don't really have that much incentive to go for a BKB. You know Enigma's going to get one eventually, but the other three heroes, they have their own ways of going about things. The Void loves to get the damage up. The Ember Spirit, he loves to kind of just play with his remnants and might go for a Manta style to break a silence, but that'll still take a lot of time to build up. And of course, Tide relies on the Kraken Shell, but if you Orchid him and you just don't make sure you don't pop the threshold of 550 damage, then he'll be out of the fight for the duration.
What about a Yules? Is a Yules crazy? I think
sure.
Yules is always a potential tool, especially when you're going against the likes of a Faceless Void. But this Void already has to know that a BKB has to be on the docket at some point. Right now he has a Perseverance. Is he taking a notch out of TC's book? He's going Battle Fury. I haven't seen that a whole lot. TC used to play it a lot when he does his safe lane farming Void when he was actually on fire with us. So maybe he's just rolling with the same kind of a game plan. Maybe it's something that Fluff, you know, likes to see as well. But regardless, it's definitely a farm accelerator, but in the meantime, that means anything he tries to set up with his Chronosphere, he better be cautious. Of course, like your Z-Freak being able to drop the hammer with his Mystic Flare and, you know, potentially getting caught out from whatever else. So BKB has got to be something to consider.
Yeah, at the very least, the Manta is a good hybrid offensive defensive pickup that'll give him what he needs. But the Battle Fury gets some crazy farm. I mean, Mask of Madness, Battle Fury, Treads, Quelling Blade. Those four items will get you almost the fastest farm of any combination. So he's looking to kind of take this to the late game, as we talked about in the draft, and this is going to be the best way for him to outfarm a Slark. As long as his team doesn't feed too hard, they get a few sentries down, they get a couple of good counter ganks off, he will be able to outpace the net worth of the Slark, say, by the 25-minute mark. And that's just going to be really good, assuming they can control their stacks. They're stacking up the hard camps, they'll look to stack up the Ancients, and that's going to be a point of contention for complexity. Now, another interesting thing, I'll just throw it out there, but there is the possibility that Fluff and Stuff steals some Mystic Flares. And if that does happen, then Mike will have some more vengeance on his hands as he can Blade Mail the Mystic Flares, and
that's true.
That would be pretty funny.
That's true. Very mana intensive for your Rubik, but that is certainly an option, and something Fluff I'd hope he would consider. Seeing that the Blade Mill's already there, that might not be a potential option, but he also needs to consider getting a hold of that Force Staff at some point so that he can help out anyone who gets potentially caught out from Clock. Oh god, here we go. So hold on. One moment, please. It's going to put me on the spot. I'm going to have to look at it. But while I check that out, I tell you what I can beautifully segue to here. We can look at the current playoff bracket. You can see exactly what's at stake right now. And as you can see, we're in semi-final action here for the, you know, Fallout Gaming Major All-Stars Tournament. Right now we're seeing Complexity taking on Summoner's Rift, or also known as, of course, the new Team Fire. And winner will move on to the finals to face the winner of the next best of three we'll be seeing, which is, of course, Leviathan taking on E-Hug. And then those two will square off, and we have one qualifier spot. So we need to find out which one American team is going to make their way to the Malaysian land final, where they can have a chance at that $100,000 prize pool, which was also going to be crowdfunded from the ticket, which you can get in stores right now. If you don't like my camera work, if you don't like hearing us, but you want to watch it from the beautiful Dota 2 client, then you can get that ticket yourself. But so in that moment here, Blaze, if you excuse me, I'm going to find out the policy. Plus, I'm sure the Year Beast. Do we know if the Year Beast is actually happening right now? I hope that's not more of a factor. Of course, fucking Matt is not from the America, so he's going to be connecting from a little bit further away, I imagine.
Presumably, yeah, from France and all that. But I think the connectivity is still pretty good on US East. There's like two servers, and it's kind of 50-50 whether one's like a great connection and one's just an average one. But overall, it shouldn't be too much of a ping factor. It's much more about just getting him back into it, figuring out what the problem is, and Yeah. Moving forward, like you were talking about his item progression, he's got his 4 staff for now that's really good against the clockwork. It's great defensive play. He can react very nicely with his teammates. The belt of strength might have been a consideration for something like a Necronomicon, like you were talking about, but either he had a discussion with the teammates that decided against it, or it was just a nice little casual health buffer so that he doesn't get picked off too easily by like the Shadowblade Slark, for example.
Understandable to have that extra bit of oomph and that push here. Just looking to kind of get the information here. I know Mike, he's one to be a stickler to make sure we follow the structured rules, and I just want to clarify the amount of time we technically would have to wait in the rule book before we do force a resume of the game, and they would have to unfortunately go with a 4 vs 5. So let me first and foremost ask if the player has any sort of updates here. Okay. Everyone is learning along with us here. They are internet drop.
Okay, so it's on his side.
Okay.
It's not really.
Yeah, it's not anything with the beast or anything. Let me ask if we can get an ETA.
So very shortly, presumably. Yeah. So what do you think about the fact that NA Dota has been more and more frequently incorporating at least 1 or 2 European players in a lot of the key rosters there? Obviously, we saw it with Zai in Evil Geniuses. We're seeing it with like fucking Mad getting involved, My Nuts, obviously from the other side of the world per se, but definitely a different region. What do you think about just like a couple of casual European players getting involved in the NA scene?
Well, I think a big thing to do with it is NEL. These are European players that also participate in NEL itself, the in-house league, and they're part of that kind of inner circle, and they already have experience, you know, grinding it out, all those games, playing with each other. They're probably have had a lot of games playing with a lot of these players on the same team against each other, and they feel comfortable with that. Otherwise, it's reaching out to maybe some unknown and, you know, American players that you've never played with or maybe don't have, you know, proper relations with. But I know that, you know, for fucking Matt himself and obviously Zai, you know, Sumail, all these, you know, Yawar, they're players who all grind out these in-house games together. That's part of IX Mike's league, you know, obviously. And I think it's just a safe bet to go there because they feel that that's where they're going to get the best of the best as far as NA Dota goes. So I guess they just feel more comfortable working from outside of the internal region. But this is, of course, all just my own personal opinion, my own 2 cents. But we're getting information right now, everyone. I know you're unfortunately weighing it out as the pause is there, and I appreciate your patience. But we're getting in contact with the authority, the proper admin, so we can make sure we're following the ground rules here. But I would imagine that within a few minutes' time, we might be forced to resume, unfortunately, as a 5 vs 4, which is no bueno, of course, for Team Fire in a very important matchup. But rules are rules after all, so hopefully we'll get that information soon. Anyways, did you have your own personal opinion on maybe why?
No, I actually think that's a pretty good way of looking at it. I mean, obviously they all participate in that capacity, so they probably get more exposure to different captains and different players on the key NA teams through that means. I'm not sure about My Nuts. He's the only one I'm not sure if he plays NEL, and I'm also curious about like the EEL progression. I know European Elite League used to be a decently big thing, but it fell apart, and
it's somewhat relevant right now. There are matches being played. Dendy himself also is even playing in the EEL, so it's somewhat there. It's obviously at very different hours than your NEL matches, but last time I did check in, which I believe was yesterday briefly, there were 2 matches at once, and Dendy does play. A lot of the names, though, I don't recognize. I don't know the, you know, the nitty-gritty EEL scene as well as I do the NEL one, but it's somewhat flourishing, and if people are curious to watch those matches, of course, there are tickets for them as well. I don't mean to sell out on the site for them, but it is quality entertainment. I'll give you that. So you can get that ticket if you want to be able to observe from inside the Dota TV client. There's a lot of fun, and there's always a lot of matches happening for them. So shout outs to the NEL for providing that kind of entertainment, and for maybe anyone who's trying to make it as a caster. There's obviously options and opportunities to get vouched as a caster and, you know, grind out games that way. So you never really know. Okay, I'm getting the rules right now, Blaze, so give me 1 moment.
Sure enough. So, as the game progresses here, we are here at the 1640 mark for Game 1 here in this best of 3 series. What we're going to be seeing a lot more of is the gold graph moving up in favor of complexity as they find more opportunities to gank. As far as their observer ward status, they have 2 on the bounty hunter as well as 2 on the skyward. They have 4 wards they're about to place out, and most of these wards are going to be very offensive, very aggressive. So this allows the Clockwork to find a lot of cool pickoffs, the Slark with the Shadow Blade to get in, and it's going to be on fire to find the placement of sentry wards. We have 1 here on Fluff and Stuff, kind of a personal ward for him, and then Fucking Mad does have 2, and they can of course purchase more. That's not a stock reliant pickup. So it's going to be very imperative for a Fire to ward defensively very carefully, find the right spot to de-ward, and to take care of that, because otherwise the vision is going to be critical, not just from Rocket Flare, but from actual sight on the side of Fire, and they're going to be able to respond to those situations a little better. The big thing here is track gold build-up for the Bounty Hunter and for the Slark, while the Sniper farms and pushes other lanes, generally speaking. And another really cool aspect of their lineup that allows for the Slark to be this active hero that's very gank-oriented is the fact that he can know when he's revealed. Even when in Shadow Dance and in Shadow Blade, if he sees that he doesn't have the passive, the Shadow Dance regen, then he knows they have a Sentry or Sentry Observer combo in that region, and he knows whether or not this is going to be a safe gank that he can proceed with, and he has plenty of disengage tools if it turns out to be a bad one, unless the Chrono comes out first.
So I guess the next thing we can theory craft, Blaze, is we have, like I posted, about 30 more seconds till we will have to resume the match. I know I'm the in-game kind of admin head, but according to the rule book, which was handed over from the proper admin, it is a 10-minute max waiting period to allow them an opportunity to get it resolved. If it's not something, he's online on Skype according to actually the other team from my nuts. So we'll see if that helps out at all. But if the team is, ready to resume, we're all ready to resume and get underway, then we'll have to resume, unfortunately. He could obviously come back after this point and help out, and you never really know. But rules are rules after all. So let me go ahead and let them know.
So with that, I mean, the idea here for Fire playing from behind, at least they know that it's going to be fixed pretty soon. They know that they're going to get a reconnect on their buddy soon, so they don't have to be completely disheartened that, oh, we might as well just GG because we can't continue. But and
oh wait, I gotta pee now. No, sorry, Brax, doesn't work like that. Unfortunately, at this point, you're gonna have to hold your pees unless it's something legitimate as far as in the game, year beast lag, something like that. We will not be able to pause any longer. So with that, they are going to micro-control fucking Mad. The spirit of Mad lives on in the jungle. I hope they have their minds and wits about them, because my nuts could have easy targets on him, and if he's AFK or they're not paying attention, it could be a quick snag. But immediately Complexity grab the smoke and go on the hunt. They get a hold of Ush, the cogs, and at the drop of a hat, your faceless void is wiped from the planet, and it's going to be a quick takedown.
Yep, just moving in past the creep wave here, where they were unexpected to have the silence. They expected the Bounty Hunter to be on top of them, but not the Skyrat 2 coming out of the smoke into the silence. Gets them a nice kill, and yeah, Fluff and Stuff, he's pretty well known for his micro skills, so being able to manipulate Eidolons and the Enigma, along with his own Rubik here. This is kind of something that he hasn't practiced directly, but his skill set is pretty well suited for. But in the meantime, those wards I was talking about, Minuts drops 1, dead center in the Dire Jungle, and he's probably going to get another nice one down in the middle of the lane.
So pretty much putting fucking Mad in the jungle AFK is not an option at this point.
Exactly.
You better have him close. Otherwise, they're going to learn the hard way that the jungle's warded out. Minuts is there nearby as he scouts out Brax, but Fluff needs to be careful as he is heading towards that jungle. We'll have to see how it goes. But how unreal would it be if Fire managed to pull this one out? Come back with a win with having a, well, an AFK, non-existent Enigma player. We'll have to find out here. But now mid lane is where they want to go. Brax, he's going to get hit in the back. Tracks there, assassinate. It's a lot of love, but he's able to outmaneuver and walk away with the phase, bottle up, and he will be able to take that nuke and live on.
Good haste stream there, so he has different options to get away. They're the very quick use of the Remnant, or in this case, just pops the haste stream, and that's going to be perfectly fine for him. And actually, I would have to say that it's not like it wouldn't be the most incredible thing for Fire to pull this one back, even with maybe 4 or 5 minutes without fucking Mad, because of the fact that this is not the most critical part of Fire's game. If this happened like 45 minutes into the game, then they'd be really sorry, because the Enigma has to be very carefully micromanaged and manipulated in order for the big plays to come out. But right now, the objective for Fire is just to survive and to play passively, so they can accomplish that with one player controlling two.
So now back to a resume of farm. Complexity.
Rush though.
Oh, barely able to slip away from Swindle. Very low life, about 100, as he time walks away from the potential onslaught that was coming from Swindle Melons, and he is just going very ruthless here. Ever since grabbing that Shadow Blade, he is constantly looking for little targets to kind of grab for himself, but he is very comfortable at the top of the network shouts. 10k plus right behind him, the sniper. It is in for a long game here for Fire. They need to find a way to look to bounce on back, because it is constant aggression from Complexity, and that's pretty much been the game plan from the get-go, especially ever since they snagged up this bounty hunter.
Yep, and they kind of know a little bit of what's going on here. They're putting out a lot of pings here. They know Z-Freak in that area, and they know the bounty hunter is lurking as well. So they're actually going to be able to farm very offensively for Brax in the top lane safely, because he's going to remnant back after this creep wave. So just good movement in general, making sure that you get the most out of your lanes while still playing very smart as far as defensive play. But Brax doesn't have a TP scroll, and that's gonna change it around a little bit. Track Gold going towards multiple heroes here, and that was the only mistake. Like the remnant back was fine. The position he was in there would have been great and bought him enough time to TP, but he's not carrying a scroll despite having the inventory slot.
Complexity just read that well. They clicked on his inventory. They didn't see that, and they split, they went from top to bottom to cut off his path on the way out. Even if he wanted to go to that side shop and dream of getting a TP, it's not going to be happening. Only welcomed with the nightmare of being taken down. So 14-9, now your new score. This net worth quickly jumped up to the top pretty much ever since the unfortunate DC, but it's Complexity and control as it stands right now. Fire, though, scouting out nearby. They have somewhat of a black hole at their dispense. Oh, they bait in my nuts into a sentry ward, and they'll get the pick. And it's going to be Fluff who grabs it with the Fade Bolt. Hey, even fucking Mad getting in on the action.
Yep, just using the Malefice cleanly, conveniently, and push down bottom is going to be Ush actually dodging out the hook shot. I'm not even sure if that was accidental. It must have been, I think, but like a lot of damage here. The Chronosphere comes out, and he actually goes on the non-chrono target, the one with the Blade Mail, as he time walks away. Ix might taking a lot of damage here. Blink Ravage coming in from Demon. Mike will fall, and Z-Freak just walking away, unable to finish the job on any of his targets. Now, they do have the 4-staff Blackwall available in the Enigma, so even if Complexity wanted to try to use their chasing tools to try to even the score, it's not going to be an option, as there's just too much team fight on Fire.
It took a lot right there for Ush to make sure he can get away, even pulling out the defensive chrono, but he manages to slip out somehow. So good for him to dodge on that hook, whether intentional or not. It does certainly save his life, but they're trying to make a push happen here bottom. Swindle sneaking in forward. Not a lot of mana to work with, but he's trying to pounce on the fucking Mad, and yeah, he's going to get taken down immediately. Not much you can do about that. Slide of this comes out. Brax trying to zone them back. The Shrapnel's going to be out to slow him down. Already 2 tracks onto Brax and Fluff, so they don't really have anywhere to hide. Fluff's going to go down. That's more track gold picked up. Remnant away. Ush is already TP'd on home, so it's just going to be the 2-man takedown. I say just, but that's, well, half of Fire's team now. And with that, Complexity walk away. More money in the pocket.
Yeah, not terrible, because they were able to TP away a bit because the clockwork was down. The Slark also didn't have that much mana to get right on his target. Slark with the Shadow Blade only has a lot of mana issues, to be honest with you. Like, he's going to be lurking around the jungle, but he's not going to be able to actually pull off a gank without going back to the well to heal. Up top, it is going to be a Silence and a Mystic Flare combo coming in when Mike connects with the hook, and that's another very nice kill coming out on the Faceless Void. He's been farming with the Battle Fury nicely, but it's going to be a while before he finishes off that BKB. And as you mentioned, it might seem like only just a couple kills here and there, but those 2 support kills ended up being a positive 1,300 gold for Complexity because of the track.
Track is just so ridiculous. I mean, it already helps out in plenty of games where you're going to be coming from behind and you're amplifying already that rubber band so much more with the track. I mean, I guess that rubber band could go the other way if you're playing a bounty hunter game and you're well in ahead and you even have a higher bounty lead because of that track gold. It could really snap the rubber band in favor of Fire, but that's a tall order when you're already working with a bit of a disadvantage. So we'll see if they can kind of bring these ults together. They do always have that wombo combo factor, and, well, it's just going to come down to execution and how much Fluff can really dish out the the objective of being able to work with these two heroes. But the bounty hunter is actually going to pause, but apparently he is back and on the way. So we're going to see here. And it was interesting to see that complexity were the ones to pull out the pause, but
yeah, I mean that's definitely their choice. They shouldn't feel any obligation for it, because some people are like, oh, if you're not pausing your sportsman. Like, no, they're playing a Dota game that you can't wait for 2 hours just for somebody to fix their internet issues. But if they want to wait 2 minutes, if they want to go for their own bathroom break, do whatever. And Mike tries to be the mannered, claim the manners for this one, trying to make up for some Twitter flames. But yeah, the one interesting thing I have to say is fucking Matt is about to come back into a game where he has 3,000 gold on hand with 1 -6. Where do you go from here? Do you go for the BKB? Do you try something else?
Well, let's see. BKB, it's certainly not going to stop the hook shot there. And that's pretty much the only thing, really. I mean, do you value being able to maybe make an opportunity to jump in and get the Blink Dagger just to secure the extra bit of mobility? I don't know, man. I mean, BKB seems like the solid route. If Demon, who does have his Blink Dagger now, is the one to kind of lead off the fight first and foremost. Plus, you have Ush. So, you know what? A Blink is probably not necessary, considering you have those two kind of frontliners to kind of get the party started, and then he can kind of waltz on in there to really finish things off with that exclamation point of a black hole. BKB, I think it could work, yeah. I think it could be the next best option. I'm not too sure what you do if you're not going to get the Blink.
The way I see it, there are 4 things that disable through a black hole through not magic immunity. I guess 5 if you count the hook shot. And there's only 1 that can actually work if the BKB is active. As well, you prevent the blade mail damage. And assuming you have the right position for your teammates, or even just catch the clockwork, you actually guarantee the black hole. So I think you'd feel pretty good about it. And maybe you'll get a Blink Dagger next, but you don't need to have both Blink and Force at this particular stage in the game. Usually, Complexity are going to be the ones jumping on you, and with the exception of Sniper, they all get really close in proximity. The Skywrath likes to be close enough to cast Arcane Bolt, and Dagon as well, and that means the Sniper is going to be the only one in the back, which Ush might be able to Chronosphere.
And if people are just tuning in, rolling on through to see what the hell is actually happening here, as my nuts is, well, getting on Fire's nuts as he's watching the clock apparently to make sure that that is ticking. This all started out, of course, unfortunately for fucking Matt. He did DC. We gave them a proper pause, but, you know, according to the rules after, so I guess he may be disconnected again since he said on my way, unfortunately. But they will stall up for another 2 minutes, which Complexity did agree, but we've waited now a total of 12 minutes to allow fucking Matt to come back into this game, so we're just going by the rules here, but we're going to have to get back underway. So we will still not have a player for Enigma. It's still back on Fluff and Stuff, as it looks like, for him to micro both of them.
Yep, so we'll see them go through, and just a lot of good manners back and forth, just kind of gritting their teeth in a bad situation, unfortunately. But we'll see actually maybe a clash come through. There's a really good flank for Complexity, but Ush gets winds of it, and he will fall back here with a Central Ward placed down. Now all the tools for a great counter engagement are coming out from Fire, but they don't have the dust, just the sentries, and they have to pop the Chrono.
Yep, Sentry was put down the same moment as the Chrono, so they get it. So Skywrath Mage gets the Mystic Flare, which ends up finishing off Fluff, who was caught under that Chrono. And Mad can now be in trouble. Fluff trying to get him to walk away. He will live. The Ravage is going to connect through from Demon, and they are able to finish off and take him down. Now on the assault back, Limp pops his BKB, shoots on forward. Brax slows him down with the chains, gets silenced up, and creeps his way back on out. So when it's all said and done, it looks like it's going to be the 2-for-1 trade, where Complexity are still going to walk away, coming out on top. With that, it's going to be only about a 500 boost, so obviously not the track gold getting involved for this one, but Complexity still continue to get more out of it.
So essentially the Enigma almost got out of it, but the 2 things were heading his way, the Maelstrom proc and the Rocket Flare, and the Sniper's the one to get the kill on him long range. No attempt to like bottle him. Ush does have that option, but in this case, it's just focused really on himself and making sure that he is able to get online and full. This BKB is imperative for him now that his entire team is really relying on him to make the big plays happen. But he will be scattered out once again. Minuts just always being the watchful eye and throwing out a long duration track on him to make him a little bit less comfortable in this jungle. Now we will see the Battle Fury come out for Ember Spirit, and I think this is why I was a little more uncertain about Ush going for the Battle Fury is Ember pretty much always goes for a Battle Fury. There are only a few exceptions where you go for like a Desolator build or a non-cleave build. Oh, Demon. Demon, getting tracked and killed off by the Clockwork once again.
Yep, and more track gold for them. Tried to run out the other way, but the Bounty Hunter was already there. There's just nowhere to go at this point. Complexity seemed to be spread across all fronts, and they're not allowing Fire, who are forced to be well more of a congested group. I mean, already you have to have fucking Mad as Enigma side by side with Fluff. You're trying to make sure you can put these ults all together in synergy. It just causes for a bit of a cluster here, and Complexity seemed to be kind of working with better movement, and, you know, obviously, you just gotta, goes without saying, of course, Fire going to be playing with that bit of a handicap, unfortunately, but Complexity, they'll set to keep fighting here as they smoke up and potentially looking to scout out the Roche area. Ush is nearby as he farms out the Complexity jungle.
I found the courier here. Looks like it will head back in time. That is one-shotable from Janata, and
yeah.
Just a nice little opportunity. But in the end, the Battle Fury is complete, and this gives the Ember Spirit a lot of potential to defend the high ground. Despite of this, Battle Fury cleaves very nicely, but the damage is real as the initiation comes from Mike.
I mean, he is able to save fucking Mad with his own force, but it goes right into the arms of Limp, who finishes him off with the Assassinate. Mike could be in trouble here if they want to try to get some redemption. And Ush catches out too with the Chrono, but the damage is not enough, and Limp is able to easily open up, and he walks into the cogs. It's a slaughter here for Complexity as they wipe down 3, wipe down 4. They do end up losing 3 of their own, but Swindle and the other core there for Limp, they're easily going to look to hunt down Brax. Swindle can't quite get the pounce. The Remnant's going to allow Brax to kind of sidestep, and Complexity again, man, get the most out of it, and with the track bonus, it's 1862 gold for them. Fire walk away with a measly 500.
Yeah, but the experience change is actually equal. That's one important thing to know is you get a lot of gold inflation from the track, but you actually still stand even terms as far as levels go. So, in general, the experience that you're going to be seeing from the two teams is not going to be as dramatic as a gold graph as time goes by. And the big thing to note is that means there's a lot of potential for Fire to get that gold back if they can just end some of these kill streaks. But at least for now, the mega kill streak is the big one to be ended. Z-Freak did go down, and Brax does actually pick up like extra like 1,500 gold after that fight. So not too shabby, not ideal, but if they can still hold the line with a couple of big cooldowns, and they still, I think they do need a big black hole, either from fucking Mad if he connects or just from Fluff and Stuff's micro.
Z-Freak must be confident in this one. Level 2 Dagon on his Skywrath Mage here. Doesn't feel necessary to get your Yules or anything like that against your Faceless Void. He knows he has the advantage right now and wants to dish out that burst when he can. Yeah. Plus, you're looking at some pretty squishy supports here. Given that Fluff does have Null, but ooh, they drop the Sentry. Quick reaction with the Telekinesis will pull him back into trouble, and they will be able to snip him up right there. Ush gets the last hit. Wow, quick grab there, and now they can move into Roche.
Yeah, Mike could try to go for a nice little grab here, or if they feel they have enough damage with the Slark, they could actually just go in for a full fight. And actually, it seems Fire are with the fact that they have a disconnected player, not confident enough to go for that Roche play, which is a bit of a gambit. I would say there's like a good 65-70% chance that they'll take it cleanly, but there's still the risk, and the fact that they only have 4 players makes it much more likely that Complexity looks to make that play. Beyond that, you were talking about the Dagon, and although it seems like a confidence item, it seems like, oh man, we got this game in the bag. It's actually, I think, a good tactical item in the sense that they knew that there was an extended period of time where Fire didn't have BKBs. Yeah. Now they're getting them on the Void. Presumably, they'll get one on the Ember Spirit as well. But for a very long period, it was extremely vulnerable heroes that are running around with Mask of Madness on and no invulnerability. And that's the heroes that you want to be Dagoning. That's the time that you get the most value out of this item. Now, though, since we are seeing the BKBs come out, he probably should go for the Ghost Scepter to keep himself alive against Void and Ember.
Plus, with that Dagon, you're stacking on that sweet Ancient Seal, so it's pretty devastating when you can't get that burst off, or you're catching anyone without their BKB at the ready. So they're scouting out Z-Freak, though. Remnant double forward and Demon, and there's going to be the Mystic Flare drop. Mike jumps in, and they end up trading 1 for 1. Mike's going to get lifted, but Fire need to get themselves the hell out of there because here comes Sniper. Oh, man, that shrapnel goes so far and slows so well. It forces Fluff, who actually forces himself through fucking Mad to get himself to the other side.
That's the second time he's done that. He's like, yeah, this Force Staff is my Force Staff now. I can just use it to save myself, and almost worked the first time around, but this time he does disengage successfully. Nice flank from Minuts as well as Swindlemelons, but they'd have to really be in a perfect position to actually get some kills off of that. They want to just pick off one Soul Straggler, or maybe the Courier as it flies back to base.
Yeah, sometimes when I get in the hands of the bounty hunter, I can't help but get it like a blink dagger, so I can just get those couriers even easier. Oh, they saw that. Yeah, it's a one-hit KO from that Janata, so you got to be careful. Even in flying, it just does not matter. So they avoid that. They take the safe road, going all the way up and above to send that courier back to base, but still just part of that whole complexity game where this bounty hunter pick just keeps them guessing, keep them thinking, and keep them frustrated.
Now, it's worth noting that that trade up top was actually really bad for Fire. They blink in with the Tide, they use the Ravage, and he actually just trades it 1-for-1 for the support Skywrath. And they already ended the kill streak of Z-Freak, so that wasn't really a valuable kill. In the end, yeah, that was just because of the Dagon 2, gave them a lot of opportunity to turn the damage against their opponents, and they're actually going to go again on Demon.
Demon could be in trouble. Yep, tracked immediately, pounces right there as they creep on through the wave. And he is able to force himself behind the tower. Shuriken, but he bottles up. He's fine. Ember's able to kill off Z-Freak, it looks like, on the other side, towards the mid lane. But yeah, very close there for Demon, and Brax as well. They just barely escape with their lives.
Yeah, and that is actually really huge. Being able to survive through that and not getting hit the rocket flare on the tail end of it, just Magic Wand, I think, was able to just be enough to save his life, and that gives him a full BKB. Now there's 2 BKBs up, and it makes this Skywrath be regretting his offensive decision. You mentioned it, Ancient Steel, Dagon too. It's some great synergy as far as burst, but now his only real option is to like burst down a Rubik. It's not nearly as valuable as being able to Force Staff or Ghost Scepter to try to avoid some of the incoming damage.
Looking mad, very rich on his Enigma. If he is ever to come back into the game, he's got near 5K. Quickly throw together a couple. Watch it like 50 minutes in. Fucking mad returns, buys a couple luxury items, pulls off an epic double black hole, and the game is won. That would be something to salivate over. We'll have to see, though, is he still missing in action, unfortunately, due to some sort of internet troubles from where he's coming from. But 25 to 18 complexity, still at the advantage. You can't count out the fact that Fire could always come back into this one. In fact, they're going with the behind-the-back play here. They have Ush in the Roach Pit right now, looking to bring down the big boy. And it looks like complexity don't have the idea, even though Mike has the rocket available. In about 8 seconds' time, it might be just too late.
Yeah. If you're looking at the observers from Complexity, they are focused on the enemy jungle. They have the mid lane one, they have the plateau. They might be afraid of like a smoke anchoring them, but until now, they had no idea. The rocket flare does come though, and it's actually been a pretty slow Roach. There was no medallion pickup on the Enigma. Of course, they don't have any way of expending his gold, and they're actually going to get initiated on a gold. 3 seconds on the Force Staff. Demon might survive. It's going to be close. Oh!
Shot right in the back. The Watermelon Man goes down. It was so close, but there's the clockwork factor right there. And like you said, just not enough damage without the additional minus armor, without the extra, well, overall deeps. It's going to take too long, and now Complexity are moving in. Ush catches on 2, and he's getting slaughtered, though, from Limp at the same time, and he gets taken down. Mike lives, so does Z-Freak, and now they look to turn back onto him. There's the black hole, but unfortunately gets immediately denied with the Shuriken from My Nuts. And now Brax forced to Remnant and get the hell out of there. Same goes side by side there with Fluff. But unfortunately, it's Complexity who come out big, and now this is going to make for an easy free Roche for them. Just finish off with Fire started.
Yeah, absolutely disastrous. They weren't able to be as active against the sniper as, with the mid game, and he's actually just gotten out of control. 20,000 net worth. He had an Eagle Song, a Mjolnir, and a Mask of Madness active in that fight. So much DPS, and it seemed like there were actually no backtracks at all. Maybe one auto attack backtrack for Hunt, and that's about it. So he just got destroyed with the physical damage output of that sniper.
My Nuts is in trouble. Brax moves in, lots of flame damage, but they don't have detection, and he just walks away from the immolation burn, and he'll be A-okay. Fluff on the case, though, hoping to catch him off, maybe, at a nearby sentry, but he doesn't have one down. He actually re-goes back into his Shadow Dance, and he just walks on away. Not Shadow Dance, rather, the Shadow Walk, and walks on away. But here we go. Swindle nearby, sees Demon, pounces immediately, starts right-clicking it on home. Brax can't do anything quite yet, and it's already too late. Swindle pretty much gets the one-on-one takedown, and meanwhile below, My Nuts up on the high ground here from Fluff. Gets him stuck, uses the pounce, and goes up and gets him. Nice style points, but ultimately he will go down to the Mystic Flare.
Yeah. And, yeah, obviously My Nuts a little sad about that one. He's been using the Blink Dagger pretty well since he picked it up to try to dodge those kinds of plays, but in the end, Fluff gets his quarry, and bringing their kill count to 19. And this is really critical moment for Fire. If they're going to have any chance of coming back, it's got to be now. We've got Scotty, Eaglesong, Sanjin, Yasha on the Slark. He's got the Aegis up, so 2 lives are going to be really hard to bring down, and Limp on the back lines has all the items he could desire. Fire are pretty much on their last legs. Once Complexity commit, they have to make the big things happen. They have to either get the Ravage of their lives, the Chrono of the lives, a Black Hole, or all of the above. They really just need to make something huge. With their Tier 3 down, it's going to be harder to use the Sleight of Fist Battle Fury to hold the high ground, and in general, it just feels like they're up against the wall.
Well, I mean, high ground defense is one of the best things they got going for them with the big ultimates and the potential, but executing is now that much harder with this Enigma just kind of out of the game. Complexity didn't care to really push. They played a little extra safe there, even down the man, and with the Black Hole on cooldown, they didn't quite feel like breaching the high ground too much, even after taking down that Tier 3. So they decided to wait, play it slow. They still have the Aegis, of course, in the hands of Swindle, and it's, you know, their momentum at their pace. Why nuts, though? Man, they had the sentry. He walks right past it. Almost an opportunity to get a hold of that bounty hunter, but it's not going to be there, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I really like the E-Blade progression for Bounty Hunter here. Actually going to be a nice jump on a demon. He will be able to force that as soon as the pounce ends, but there's just so much damage coming in from these heroes now, and he's just another easy kill. And a double cogs from Mike!
Where is the Mystic Flare? That would make this so much better, but it's not even required. They easily clean up the 2. Mike, what a player. Able to land the hook shot, scout it out from the track, connects on both. Unfortunately, it comes as a package deal between Fluff and Enigma being gone. So with that now, Complexity are able to easily go right into the mid lane. Here comes Ush, the last hurrah. Pops his BKB, tries to right-click down Limp, but the butterfly is helping him out, and he's now able to turn back on his BKB. Mike saves him with the cogs, and they create a turret as he's just able to unleash the right-click Fury. It's a 5-man wipe. Complexity looks like they're going to be able to take game number 1. Real unfortunate for Fire to lose their Enigma player. Fucking Mad being disconnected. But they will have to call the game, potentially looking to get a stand-in if they don't have him back for game number 2.
I mean, Mike just playing a tower defense game right there. Like, he's setting it up so the Void has to be mazing in between all these different obstacles to get to his objective, and oh boy, it just breaks him down before they lose any lives. That is a great game from Complexity, but of course an unfortunate loss from Fire. I really do think they had a lot of potential if they were playing with their full strength, but these are some issues that you just can't foresee, and you can't do that much about once the game has started. I probably will give them a few extra minutes in between game 1 and game 2, but in the end, Astana is probably going to be the best course of action.
Yeah, so we'll see if that's going to be the case or not. And with that said, we'll wrap things up here for game number 1 of Complexity going toe-to-toe against Team Fire in this best of 3. So it is match point now for Complexity, but Fire do have another chance to come back and take it to a game number 3. This is semi-final action happening over here on Beyond the Summit. I am KotLGuy. Show some support over on my Twitter at KotLGuy, and of course my great co-caster Blaze. Catch him over at Blaze Casting. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Sit tight.